The United States government maintains the role, structures, and powers that it has, both domestically and abroad, but definitely domestically, and it's upheld domestically because its people are in a constant state of threat. Now, they have tried to paint the picture that the threat is external so that we will isolate and acquiesce to, and do what it is that they want us to do, right? What they want from us is a fawn response to that trauma, which is what the Republican Party, the right, is doing. The folks, the poor people who are supporting the right, they are having a fawn response to the trauma. People who are on, like liberals, that we see that it seems like their heart is in the right place, but very ineffectual, right? They're in a freeze response. They have been in a freeze response. Maybe a lot of folks are no longer in that freeze response, and I love that. Get activated, love that. But it seems that over the years, liberals have been in a freeze response. That's where our government wants us. They want us in a freeze response or a fawn response, because either way, that means the government gets what they want. And they demonize you if you have a fight response. They will demonize a fight response, which is why they say violence isn't the answer. It's why they say, cooler heads prevail when it comes to them literally knocking down the door and doing some of the most vile, awful things possible. They say a fight response is never appropriate to the trauma and the threat that we pose. The only acceptable response we will take from you is fawn or freeze. And they've structured these systems and the economy itself so that flight isn't an option. So they demonize fight. They take away the ability to flight. And so the only options that we've been left with, or at least we've perceived that are an option, are fawn and freeze. That is why healing your trauma is so important to making sure that we make progress in this country. Learning how to engage your fight response in a way that doesn't destroy you and the people you care about in the process. The government has convinced you that fight response always bad, unless we fight brown people and black people, in which case, always good. That's the only time they give people permission, and trans people, LGBTQ people. It's the only time the government gives you permission to fight. So when the government every now and then gives us permission to fight, it's never them. It's never them. They never, ever want you to stand up to them. That's why they give you other folks to let your steam off on. It's why they make you think that you're better than some other folks so that you will punch down, because they know that at some point the fight is going to come out. Now, who it's unleashed on, if they can guide you in the right direction, it'll work out in their benefit too, even if fawn or freeze isn't exactly an option at the moment. You are letting your emotions handle you, and instead of handling them yourself. And the government knows that. And they are using your emotions to handle you. So when you finally get a handle on your big feelings and how you perceive and react to threats, and you learn what's actually going on around you and why it's happening the way it's happening, you can start moving the world a different way, in a more productive way. And people on the left and the right can realize that our source of trauma is the same. How we are conditioned to respond to it is different. That's all. And I think that we can all agree it's time to fight. And that can look so many different ways. It does not have to look like destroying the people around you, right? It doesn't have to be that. We've been taught that that's what that is. That's not what that is. Learn the full spectrum of how to manage your emotions. And the government will not be able to use them against you. And if you stayed this long, thank you for coming on the journey.